The rain poured relentlessly as she stood outside the dimly lit cafe, her trembling hands clutching a crumpled photograph. The image was faded, but the faces were unmistakable: her husband, her sister, and a newborn baby. Her heart pounded in her chest, each beat echoing the betrayal that had shattered her world. She had been homeless once, discarded by society, but now she was back, and she had a plan. A plan that would make them pay for what they had done. Little did they know, the woman they had mocked and underestimated was about to unleash a revenge so shocking it would leave them begging for mercy. It had started with whispers. Whispers about her husband's late-night meetings, his sudden interest in her sister's well-being, and the way they exchanged glances when they thought she wasn't looking. She had dismissed it at first, chalking it up to paranoia. But then the truth came crashing down like a tidal wave. Her sister was pregnant, and the father was none other than her own husband. The revelation had left her numb, but it had also ignited something deep within her, a burning desire for justice. She had spent months planning, gathering information, and biding her time. Her days of homelessness had taught her resilience, and her time on the streets had sharpened her instincts. She knew how to survive, how to adapt, and most importantly, how to strike when the moment was right. And now that moment had arrived. The cafe door creaked open, and her husband stepped out, his face lighting up with a smile as he spotted her. "What are you doing here?" he asked, his tone laced with surprise and a hint of guilt. She forced a smile, masking the storm raging inside her. "I just wanted to talk," she said softly, her voice barely above a whisper. He hesitated, then nodded, gesturing for her to follow him inside. As they sat down, she couldn't help but notice the way his eyes darted around the room, as if searching for an escape. She leaned in closer, her voice steady but filled with an underlying menace. "I know everything," she said, her words slicing through the air like a knife. His face paled, and for a moment, he looked like a man who had seen a ghost. "What are you talking about?" he stammered, his voice trembling. She reached into her bag and pulled out a stack of documents, each one more damning than the last. Bank statements, property deeds, and a will that named her as the sole beneficiary of a fortune she had never known existed. His eyes widened in shock as he realized the depth of her knowledge. "How did you?" he began, but she cut him off with a wave of her hand. "You underestimated me," she said coldly. "You thought I was weak, that I would just roll over and accept your betrayal. But you were wrong." The tension in the room was palpable, and she could see the fear in his eyes as he realized the gravity of his mistake. But she wasn't done yet. She had one final card to play, a twist that would leave him reeling. "There's something else you should know," she said, her voice dripping with venom. "The baby your mistress is carrying? It's not yours." The color drained from his face as the words sank in, and for a moment he looked like a man who had just been handed a death sentence. She leaned back in her chair, a satisfied smile playing on her lips. "You thought you could destroy me," she said, her voice low and dangerous. "But instead, you've destroyed yourself." As she stood to leave, she could feel the weight of his gaze on her, but she didn't look back. She had gotten her revenge, but the game wasn't over yet. There were still secrets to uncover, mysteries to solve, and a fortune to claim. And as she stepped out into the rain, she knew that this was only the beginning. The world had underestimated her once, but they would never make that mistake again.